All right, we're out there in the interwebs. How's everyone tonight?
Doing well, hanging in there.
Doing
I'm
well,
okay.
Jay?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Got my gin and tonic, so I'm ready.
Oh, yeah, Ann and I had that discussion tonight about gin and tonics. She did not want to use the Navy strength.
Why not?
She wants to save that for the straight sipping.
Okay, I can understand that. It's not a bad logic.
So welcome everybody tonight. As has been wont the case over several times, we have Eric from Kowabunga with us tonight.
Yeah, it's fun to be here. Thanks for making time and having me on. Got a few
Yeah,
things
I
we
guess-
can talk about.
Wait a minute.
Oh
I
yeah,
thought
all
it was
kinds
Eric
of stuff out there.
Discount Comics.
Yeah, we're having a crisis of identity. That's the best way to put it. So, I guess you know what, I'll rip the Band-Aid. I'll give a little bit of inside info. So, a little bit less than a year ago, we engaged with an organization to build out a brand new website for us, a deepdiscountcomics.com website, where we would do all of our mail order ordering and whatnot from. And we were chugging along really, really well, trying to go live late last fall, and just a few things came up where we had to, rejigger some of the scope and make things kind of, we didn't take that into account, we should definitely add that in, kind of stuff. So got a little bit delayed. And then the firm that we engaged with, they had one very senior level software engineer, and he was just absolutely fantastic. However, he was so fantastic that he got poached by another company. And unfortunately, the site didn't get finished. And we were hoping that he would, find time on the side to help get it done, while the firm was trying to hire in another resource that would have the same skill sets. And unfortunately, neither of those have happened. So we're kind of in a little bit of a hiatus, shall we say. It's painful, I'll be honest, because we had a lot planned on getting the site live. So we're waiting to see what the result's going to be. We've got some options are out there. So we're waiting to hear back from the firm to see what they've come up with, and then we're going to make a decision how we move forward. If anyone out there knows October CMS and PHP and all that kind of stuff, and they want a side job, I guess reach out to us. But we're just going to kind of wait and see. Part of the struggle with that has been, as you guys have seen, we've launched a couple of exclusive covers that have come out. We've announced, obviously, our Jenny Frizen Shadow Man 1.
Yes, very nice.
Beautiful cover. And then our Jandurisma Bounty Hunters Alpha, which is a Boba Fett cover that we released yesterday and has been pre-selling very, very well. We decided this year that we wanted to get a little bit more into the exclusives, not going crazy. We're not doing, massive print runs on everything that we do. We've selected very specific books for very specific reasons. We will be announcing in the next week and a half, Shadow Man 2, which is also a Jenny Frizen cover. And those books, we decided we needed to have a place to reach a wider audience. So we've got them on a quick site that I just stood up. It's shopkowabunga.com. It's not ideal, but it allows buy their books and pre-order them, and we can display them. So we're working, but it's been interesting. It's been really interesting trying to get all this done. So
You can't just find somebody on Fiverr to kind of finish it for you?
Well, you guys know how complicated it can be just to order books from a customer perspective. I promise you, the behind the scenes is about 50 times more complicated. It took probably, I'm going to say, about 16 hours worth of meetings between myself, the lead engineer, and the lead designer to talk through the entire ecosystem of the books and how we order them, because we are such a weird, unique industry where all of our product essentially is pre-order with an FOC date, as opposed to things like the straight up book market where you can pre-order it, but the likelihood that something goes out of stock the day that it hits shelves it barely ever happens, if at all. So the complexities of that, the complexities of how now we have 2 distributors, it's going to be 3 distributors. how we receive product in, and how there's, normal cadences like our every week deliveries. Then you have kind of these random replenishment deliveries that come on Fridays, that are damage replacements. They could be reorders. They could be whatever it is. Those come in off cycle. They don't get on an invoice like the other products do. They come kind of on the next invoice. So you're constantly like, I got product this week and I have to get it out, but I won't know what I got, in an invoice format until next week when the other stuff comes. So there's a lot of complexities in getting it all done. And it took about 16 hours to work through it all, to show them how I manage everything. But yeah.
So I guess it's not a process you can draw on the back of a napkin.
Need a really freaking big napkin.
And I guess you kind of alluded to it's going to get a little bit more complicated with the whole Marvel going to Random House Penguin.
Yeah, Penguin Random House. It's. I think the way that we had initially designed everything was that we kind of assumed that there would be additional distribution coming into play, whether it was on the periodical side or things like we've been doing a significantly larger amount of action figure and statue sales. So we typically get NECA product through Diamond. But at this point, we're talking about maybe we just get a straight NECA account. So if we do that, we have to be able to account for their system. Obviously, we'd want to be able to pre-sell those products as well. So we designed it such that no matter where the distribution came from, we could bring it in. We just needed to make sure that as we transact data with the website, it's in a specific format that we can input. So things like CSV files, which most of us are familiar with, that deal with data or spreadsheets, and it has to be a certain sequence. So we did design a lot of it to handle those things. The bigger complexity with Penguin Random House is just going to be on all of the other mechanics that go into it, like getting data for pre-orders, getting just actually doing orders. Discount tiers are changing, so it's going to be something.
No, it's almost like it's a full-time job.
Almost. I should really kick one so I can focus on this one.
The one thing I've noticed so far about the announcement for Marvel going to Penguin Random House, there doesn't seem to be as big a backlash as there was when DC left. But of course, they're also giving you more than 3 weeks notice, unlike DC did.
Was it only 3 weeks notice?
Something like that. It was pretty close, yeah.
Yep, and it was all reprint stuff. So I mean, it wasn't like it was hitting fresh books, but it was short turnaround. So I think there's an equal amount of backlash for this adjustment, and the backlash is just very different. So the first thing that everyone really started to gripe about with DC bringing on UCS and Lunar was not the fact that they were going to a different distributor. It was the fact that they created 2 new distributors out of our direct competition.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking.
That was the biggest thing, because that meant that, well, obviously, DCBS and Midtown are going to bump themselves up in line if they need to get product refills, right? Why wouldn't they? They can just move it from the left hand to the right hand, and they've got what they need. So that was the significant hurdle with the first one, was they've now enabled our competitors to have yet another competitive advantage. And then, of course, there was the fact that there was no established ordering mechanisms or websites for either of them. The Lunar site is still pretty janky. It's not beautiful. It's not very performant. It gets the job done, so hats off to that. But so it was basically like, we've created something out of nothing, and we gave the benefit to your competitors instead of going out to an established company. The struggle with Marvel is going to be the flattening of discounts, and just put out a tilting at windmills about the Penguin Random House shift and how everyone now is going to get a flat discount that's equal and free shipping. We actually prefer it the other way. We actually preferred our volume discount that we had and paying for shipping at Diamond, because folks like Hibbs, Comics Experience in San Francisco, his store is mostly meant to be a bookstore, trades, hardcovers. That's pretty much what he's modeled himself as. Now, with a superhero bent, of course. But because of the fact that he's dealing predominantly in collected material, he's had a Penguin Random House account for a very long time. And he's worked on the bookseller account side, not a direct market account side. So all of that volume he's been getting in from PRH with free shipping. And because of that, his diamond numbers are low. And because of that, his shipping costs relative to his invoice totals are high. So he said as high as 10 to 15% of his invoice total has been shipping. Well, for us, we've never had a book distribution account. We've always gone through Diamond and obviously now Lunar. But because of that, our orders are significantly high, especially for Marvel product. And as a byproduct of that, doing the math over the last year or so, our average shipping costs is 3%. So if I'm losing 6% of my discount and getting free shipping, I'm losing 3% of my profit margin. Now this is really going to hurt someone like DCBS, where they're getting an even deeper discount than what I am, and probably Midtown as well. So it's going to level the playing field for a lot of the big guys back down to the smaller ones. And the smaller people are going to be able to compete if they want to, if they choose to, or they're going to have a little bit more of a meatier profit margin, because a lot of times very, very small stores who are barely hitting their minimum diamond account balance, their discount could be as low as 35%. So they're getting an extra 15% margin. So it's different, brings its own set of challenges. But the one thing that we are, I guess, reassured of is that even though Penguin Random House has never done comic book distribution before, they at least are a distributor of printed media. They've purchased a facility basically right next door to Diamond Comics. They have ordering mechanisms in place. They've already got a website and everything, all those things that Lunar and UCS didn't have. And they've hired a lot of industry folks. They took one of the vice presidents from Valiant. He's going to be one of the folks working at Penguin Random House, Matthew Klein. And they've gone around and they've scooped up some other industry folks as well who have good foresight into both the collected market as well as the single issue market, distribution struggles and all of that. So it's another set of challenges, but I think this one will be a little bit easier to absorb because we've already had to do it once.
Yeah, isn't the terms different too? Don't you get like net 30 or net 60 with Penguin Random House that you didn't get with Diamond?
You could get terms with Diamond if you want.
Oh, you could. Okay.
You had to have a certain credit history and apply for it. So you could get terms with them. We don't necessarily like that. Part of the reason is a lot of stores do that because they'll sell this week's comics to pay for 2 weeks ago. And for us, when the books arrive, they're paid for up front. So our inventory is owned by us 100%.
Yeah, because I got to thinking about like if you got net 30 or net 60, but then you got returnable comics.
Not
then
returnable.
It makes you get okay, so it's not returnable then.
No, so the way that they're setting this up is if you want to have a Penguin Random House distribution account through the bookseller side, you get the lower discount, but you get returnability, just like if you owned a mystery novel store. If you are on the direct market side and you are ordering periodicals or collected editions through the direct market side, you get the higher 50% discount, but no returnability.
That's interesting.
So that was one thing that we all kind of appreciated, because there's an initial reaction of like, oh shit, every bookstore is now going to have access to the product that we have. And, for us, that's okay. But for one of our friendly stores, he's got 7 bookstores around him. And he's like, well, if that's the case, if they have access to this stuff, easily, as opposed to having to create a Diamond account and go through all those hoops, if they can just add stuff to their orders, that could really take a chunk out of me. So it'll be 2 different houses, basically.
But hasn't Penguin Random House already been doing distribution to bookstores like Barnes and Noble? Because I know Barnes and Noble carries a lot of trade.
Oh yeah. Penguin Random House, they are the I think sole collected edition distributor for the non-direct market for DC. And they also they do distribute to Barnes and Noble, but again, that's all returnable product, which is handled differently both on the accounting side and on the product quality side. So Barnes and Noble, if they get a case of hardcovers and they get dropped on the truck or something, and they all have ding corners. They don't care. They just put them on the shelf. Unfortunately, being in a specialty store, the likelihood of me selling that is next to none because people come in and they want it. They want it like it's mint off the shelf. So yeah, it's just kind of different finicky things.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I don't know. The biggest thing for me is like what's going to happen to Diamond now? They're going to have to innovate, or are they just going to slowly wither on the vine?
Well, it's a hell of a question. I think there's some industry speculation that if the Marvel move goes well, DC has an agreement in place already for Penguin Random House to be a preferred distributor if they choose to. So they could move to Penguin Random House with DC product as well, shrink the discount margins to 50% there again. And then where does that leave Lunar and DCBS? All right, so that's an interesting angle. You also have the fact that Diamond has discount tiers that are set up based on total volumes invoiced. While you take out the top 80% of the comic market, people are going to have a lot of small stores, especially, are going to have a very hard time hitting those minimum order thresholds or even achieving the discounts, the higher discounts, because they're just not going to be able to order as much product because it's not going to be there. So there's going to have to be a restructuring there. Obviously, Diamond they did come out and say they were going to be a wholesaler of Marvel products. So if smaller stores wanted to, or any store, they could keep ordering Marvel comics through Diamond. We actually got a phone call from Diamond asking us if we were going to stay, and we were kind of like, yeah, no, not going to happen. They're like, yeah, we get it. The discount, it's gonna shift, and we can't give you what your straight discount's going to be because that's what we're going to get. So it's going to be interesting if you guys remember back when COVID first started, and Diamond shut down, and then it kind of resumed a little bit, and then Jeppy was on kind of his roadshow of Dan Shaheen YouTube live discussions or whatever. One of the things he had talked about was expanding Diamond into back issues, trying to be more of a back issue hub than new issues. So does this hasten that? And if so, how does that affect places like Mile High or My Comic Shop / Lone Star? It's really, really interesting. I'm not going to lie. We're sitting on, I think the next 5 years are going to be very telling in the comics industry. And we could see Diamond either cease to exist as it is, or they could emerge with some new business model that keeps them moving forward.
I don't know. I remember when it was Diamond and Capital. I still remember that. So, competition is, I don't know, I'm a big believer in competition. And I just remember hearing a lot of time, it's like, well, here's all my returns from Diamond this week, or, oh, that book's not on the shelf because, Diamond, didn't package it right and everything like that. So I guess.
Yeah, and I think all of us are in agreement with that. Competition is good. So why the hell do we have all these exclusive contracts? When Lunar is your exclusive distributor for DC Comics, and you made Penguin Random House your exclusive distributor for Marvel Comics. Well, there's no competition. The competition was to win the business. There's no competition to keep the business now, and that's what I want: is give me competition to keep the business.
Yep. I mean, I'm just afraid for the back half of the previews. I mean, that's where all the interesting stuff is, and
and we've seen a real explosion of that lately too. A lot of on my end, I've been ordering more and more and more of the back half, and which is exciting. It's exciting for me to see. I don't know. And the other thing that's a trick is if you're going to a place like Penguin Random House, they've kind of got that flat 50%. So a lot of those back half publishers, they're not at a 50% discount threshold. They're lower. So if they were to try and go to Penguin Random House, how does that work? I'm sure Penguin Random House would make some concessions to make it happen, but it's going to be interesting.
Or maybe it forces more. Isn't there some like TKO, and isn't Scout doing it now where you can just buy direct from them?
Yeah, TKO only does direct store sales, so or direct to customer. So we have that, and then with Scout, there's actually 3 places you can order the books. You can get them through Diamond, you can get them through Lunar, and you can get them straight from the website. The retailers have we have a certain, each of us get a different code that we have to put in to identify us as a retailer account when we check out. So, yep.
Yeah, but I guess I'm worried about the Fantagraphics, the who else, Jay?
Well, you got Fantagraphics, you got folks like Vault.
Yeah,
you know,
I really like Vault.
Even Valiant, right? They're not a premier publisher, and their output obviously is slow due to COVID. Source Point Press, AWA, all of those.
What about Image? How does Image fit in all this? I guess they're the odd person out.
They're the big dogs as of October at Diamond. No, they've pretty much come out and said, at least, everything we've heard thus far is that they're sticking with Diamond. They're aligned with Diamond.
Until McFarlane comes out with his own distribution company.
Right. Well, the only thing I would say is if he wanted to do that, I'm pretty sure he would have done it by now. There's definitely a lot more money to be made in action figures than there is in periodical distribution. The other big thing that's kind of the elephant in the room is that there's been discussions that AT&T/Warner Media is looking at selling off the DC comic print component, publishing component. And one of the front runners that's been named as an interested party is Steve Geppi. So does Geppi buy DC, publication rights and then bring it back to Diamond for distribution? Again, these next 5 years are going to be very, very crazy.
Man, so that is actually a serious rumor. I mean, I'd heard that and I just kind of discounted that because, that just sounds like it'd just be such an undertaking because then you got to get artists, then you got to get writers, and does it stay part of continuity, or?
Yeah,
I
would like to think that Steve is a big enough comic guy that he wouldn't want to just change course and completely adjust. The other thing that he has going for him is he has how many years of industry contacts. He knows everyone who's been a publisher, the Dan DiDios of the world, the Joe Quesadas, the David Gabriels. He knows all of those people. So if it's a point of we need to hire somebody in to run this, he's got, his black book should have everybody's phone number in it.
I actually wouldn't. I think it'd actually be kind of interesting because then you might just do something that the big two have never been wanted to do, because it's always been, here's the character, but when you're done with it, you got to put the sandbox just back the way it was, or the toy box just the way it was. They could do something where they just like, okay, and one of the reasons like I loved the Valiant back in the especially the 90s is how they were all interconnected. They were like on a linear timeline, characters got older, they got aged, and everything like that. And so, that could be something they do to the DC, and
yeah,
I think that'd actually be kind of nice as opposed to just keep trying everything, throw it against the wall, but then you keep coming back to the same stuff over and over and again.
Yeah, I think the struggle with companies like Marvel and DC is you have built a legacy based on certain characterizations, and what we've seen with both readership and overall pop culture acceptance is that by and large, people don't like significant change. If Bruce Wayne is not Batman, that poses a significant problem. And so what, anyone looking to undertake those things needs to consider, how do we establish new titles that allow us to break into new areas? Things like, the Black Label books at DC, or the Punisher Max run that Garth Ennis had over at Marvel, where you went more adult and, you could take them in different directions. It's finding those ways of creating stories and universes. I don't think there's any reason why if someone said, oh, here's the Bruce Wayne of 40 years in the future, and just had an ongoing series while you had Bruce Wayne currently. I don't really see how, if it's executed well, it wouldn't be a problem. But we've definitely seen that when you take Bruce Wayne out of Batman for a significant period of time, it's not good.
I don't know. When Dick Grayson was Batman, I think people kind of like that. He's done it twice, back in Prodigal, and then back when the first part of Batman and Robin. I think Jay would be more of a...
in 2010, 2011, yeah.
So, even, right behind you there, your Nightwing, the sign and everything. was there such a back? I mean, is it just a sign of the times because Robin, Dick Grayson quit being Robin, and then 2 issues later was Nightwing. Was that a big outrage? Now there's a big people didn't like Jason Todd, but then you got like Tim Drake, who's the Robin I actually had, and who's kind of I wish they do more with him and everything. But I remember tonight, it was like Tim Drake as Robin. You had Kyle Rayner as Green Lantern. I'm kind of happy that Wally West is now going to be back to being the Flash and everything. So they've successfully in the past inherited characters, or is it just passed it down, or is it the Trinity? The problem is the Trinity can't change.
Correct. That's really what it is. It's the Holy Trinity at DC that you talk about Dick Grayson and you talk about Tim Drake, who was still Batman during the lion's share of all of that, Bruce Wayne. And that's kind of the grounding point, is that the two have become so synonymous with one another that it's really hard to break them apart. And you risk losing a lot of long-term readers. The other thing that you risk losing is you risk losing all of that other connection. So you've got the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy, right, which is heralded as, at least for us, one of the greatest superhero trilogies that's been created. I mean, it's phenomenal. It is wonderful characterization of what Bruce is in those terrible and dark times. But you start creating Batman as somebody else, and you have a really significant challenge of getting people to come back and want to look at something because they've already put in their head, oh, this is so-and-so. To me, it's no different than Heath Ledger playing Joker. You think about when that movie came out, everybody was just like, this guy is clinically insane. Like, he played this character so well. It's incredible. And you've had, obviously, Jared Leto has come back and played Joker, but it just doesn't get that same response because in most people's minds, it's still Heath Ledger, or it's, the animated Batman. Right. So you've just got this, it's a mental block that's really hard. One of the few characters that we've seen successfully do that is Miles Morales as Spider-Man, but there's also been a very clear line of distinction. Like, Peter Parker is Spider-Man, Miles Morales is Spider-Man. We still have both going, right? Because Marvel will not give up the gravy train of Peter Parker. It would be foolish.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, these companies, no matter who ends up licensing the characters, or you can't do significant changes. I mean, look at the backlash that Tom King got in his run. And it was largely because he was doing different things with Batman than had been done ever, in 80 plus years. And so, DC, I think that's why DC stopped his run 15 issues short of where he was planning on taking it. So, yeah, no matter you can't mess with your tentpole characters.
Well,
or is it just nobody? Go ahead.
Or has nobody just figured out how to do it yet?
I think that's the bigger thing, is that there's ways to do it. There has to be a way to do it. But how did you guys each feel about the Tom King Batman run?
I liked it immensely.
I mean, I had quit reading Batman. Oh, right before the valuable ones came out, like 880 and 879 in those. But I did go back. I did go back and start Batman up with Batman Rip, or R.I.P.
Yeah.
Yep. So,
okay.
And then with New 52, I picked it up until about issue 12 or 14. I got through the Court of Owls. And then
sounds like the Court and the City of Owls, the first two arcs.
Yeah, Court and City Owls, and then something after that. And then I was kind of like, eh. And then I picked Batman up when they started renumbering it with Rebirth and Tom King. Right? I think that was next. And I've kept it since.
Okay.
So, I mean, I enjoyed it. I think everybody has their own take about Batman.
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne, and however they take it. But
Mhm.
part of that, I guess, is the comfort of when this writer's done, everything's going to go back into the toy box just the way it was, and it's all going to go back to normal. See, that's the thing. That's what kind of gets me. It's like let the writers tell their story, because in the end, they're not going to make anything a drastic change, except Alfred's dead. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, just a couple years
Right,
later on that one.
Yeah, Alfred's dead. I mean,
Forced the poor guy
and
lost
then it
an
kind of
arm
goes back.
or a hand.
Yeah. So, and I still expect somehow Alfred to come back within the next 5 years somehow. I don't know
Seems
how.
likely. Whether it's as in human form or in some sort of AI form, it does seem likely.
I mean, once they brought back Bucky and they brought back, okay. The only one they haven't brought back yet is Uncle Ben.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of anybody, but it used to be Bucky and Uncle Ben. Those are the two that'll never come back. Everybody else will die and come back. And then it's like, well, okay. Now we're just left with Uncle Ben. But I enjoyed it. I know people are complaining about emo Batman and and everything like that, but it's like I enjoyed that. I enjoyed Mr. Miracle. I kind of every time I see Darkseid now, it's like Darkseid is. I'm sorry, but I kind of like that. I'm enjoying Strange Adventures. I can't think of. Is there any other DC he's done? I didn't read The Vision, but I hear good things about that.
That's my favorite thing that he's written.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Maybe I'll need to read the trade sometime.
I have to be honest. I really, really, really enjoyed The Vision and did not really care for his Batman. And it wasn't because of what he tried to do with the character. It was because of how he tried to tell the story.
Pacing?
He tried to be Alan Moore. You can actually go into Alan Moore's Swamp Thing and you can find identical page layouts, identical spots where the caption blocks are. But it doesn't flow like Alan Moore. It just isn't Alan Moore. No one will be Alan Moore, period. So that was really hard for me because of how much I love Alan Moore's works, whether it's Swamp Thing, Watchmen, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, doesn't matter. I love his work. And so when I was reading it, I was just like, it doesn't work for me because I'm seeing what I should see, but it doesn't pace. And if you read Saga of the Swamp Thing, for those that have read it, and you didn't notice this, you go back and reread some of it, you'll notice that through the captions and the word balloons and things like that, if you read it, there's a pace in the cadence of the words. And in fact, through many of the issues, the cadence gets quicker because the words, everything kind of shortens down, and it's like a heartbeat, and it builds to whatever that wow factor is for that issue. And that was what was a struggle for me, is because I'm looking at this book that Tom King's writing, and I'm seeing the layout, I'm seeing the pacing that's supposed to be there, and it just was like, it was like a person in a marching band who was off step and tripping. It's just like, God damn it! It's like, why is this working? So that was my struggle with it. But it was because he was trying to do something he isn't. If he would have been Tom King on The Vision, just writing, I bet you I would have loved it because I loved The Vision.
See, I haven't read Saga of the Swamp Thing, or Alan Moore Swamp Thing, so I guess I'm going to have to do that now too.
It's one of my top 3 runs of all time.
How many issues did he run it for?
6 trades.
Okay, I do have his first issue though. I do have that slab somewhere. I got Alan Moore's first Swamp Thing issue.
Wouldn't recommend reading that one. May want to leave that one in the CGC slab.
Okay. All right. So okay. Well, yeah. At least I've seen a lot of people try to copy the whole Watchmen thing with the panel layout and everything like that before, but I didn't really. And that kind of touches on something. People get that, and sometimes I just wonder if am I not a lover of comics, or do I just not know literature, because for some reason stuff like that I don't pick up on. Like you were saying, it's like the cadence is a heartbeat, and it gets quicker as it leads up to stuff. And I don't know, maybe that's because I'm a visual guy, and I don't pick up that, or maybe I read in my head, I don't read out loud. Maybe that's it. But I will state one of the most innovative things I can remember, because it's visual, was in J. Michael Straczynski's Rising Stars, where there was a page and he did the page such that you almost had to hold it up to the light, and how the page on the other side shone through,
Sure.
added to the art on that page. And it's, visual stuff I get, but like you're saying, the cadence of the words and everything like that, sometimes that goes over my head, I guess.
It's hit or miss. Like I'm kind of equal parts of the story and the art. So like the Grayson run that Tim Seeley and Tom King kind of partner wrote, those 45 issues or something like that, the New 52 Grayson run. There's some absolutely gorgeous art in there where you see Nightwing, Dick Grayson, kind of like swooping down, and it's an entire splash page, but it's him in all these different contorted positions, and there's motion lines that you could literally see exactly what the motion was that he was doing, and you could picture it as clear as day. So I definitely key in on that stuff too. I think it was just happenstance with Swamp Thing. I've read it so many times because I love it so much that I've started. I didn't pick up on that heartbeat thing until probably the third or fourth time I read it. In fact, I was sitting in LaGuardia reading it, and I had that holy crap moment, and I actually picked up the phone and called James, and I was like, "You got your Swamp Thing trades?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Okay, go to this issue in the second or third book, whatever it was, and just read the first 4 pages and tell me if you feel a heartbeat." And he's like, "You're crazy." And then he texted me like 20 minutes later, felt the heartbeat. So it was just one of those things I picked up on. I mean, I'm not looking for it, I guess is the best way to put it.
Well, yeah, if you go looking for it, I don't think you're going to find it. It's one of those.
You're going to overanalyze, and you're just going to get pissed.
Yeah. So you mentioned top 3 then. So what's the other 2 in your top 3?
I would have to put as my number 1, Why the Last Man.
I love that series.
It's my absolute favorite. Swamp Thing.
I'm trying to decide if I like that being made into a TV show or not. If that will ruin it for me.
Yeah, it could go either way, right? It could be really crappy 90s level production, or it could be really, really good. I mean, things like Umbrella Academy turned out, I think, far better than most people expected. Even the Swamp Thing TV show was tremendous. The few episodes they had, it was just the budget for it was insane. And then, I think as far as the third run, I really have to go with kind of the whole Thanos quest storyline, when you have Surfer and Thanos, a lot of that great Ron Lim art. I just love all the different places that they go and all the different characters that come into it. Going to death and just the space stuff. I'm a big Doctor Strange and Silver Surfer fan when it comes to Marvel, so I like all of that cosmic space stuff. It just really jives with me. So those are probably
Was Starlin writing that?
Yep.
Okay. So basically, when from the 2-issue Thanos quest, and then how it then dove into the Silver Surfer third. Yep. But it's not foil.
No, this is just the epic. They didn't bother to foil or chromium cover the epics. Darn it.
So let's see. That is 80. Okay, so the Swamp Thing 80s, Silver Surfer 90s, and then Why the Last Man 2000, the aughts.
It's kind of the late 2000s, I think, to maybe 2010 range.
Oh, I think you're going to find it was a little bit early. Or
was it?
I want to think. Let me think, because I was reading 100 Bullets, and then I think Why the Last Man came out around. I think actually
2008.
Oh, was it?
2002 to 2008.
Yeah.
Oh, 2002 too. Okay, so still the aughts, the early aughts.
Yep, you're right. Yep, those are my top 3. But there's tons of other great stuff out there. Those are the ones, though. If I'm stranded on a desert island, that's what I'm taking. Just because I know I'll always be satisfied while reading.
Well, you know how it ends.
I do, which is satisfying in some.
Oh, wait a second, though. I okay, since we're getting into that. So, how did you interpret how Why the Last Man ends?
Yeah.
That last page or two.
Kind of him jumping out the window. And yeah, it's a little weird. Like, it could go one of 2 ways in my mind. It could go the way of they're off kind of repopulating the earth and doing their thing, and it's just kind of life goes. He ends up passing away, and then you've got this other part where it's like there's a question of is that truly York? Is that the original York? Is that York a clone? Like where's he going? What's he doing? Like is there another story out there? So it can go one of two ways. Like it's either boom done, or we could get another 60 issues of chaos.
Yeah. And I will say there was one character that, well, I don't think I really hated her, but I was those last couple of issues with the Israeli officer hunting
the
them down.
Officer.
Yeah, the Mossad officer. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
You've read Why the Last Man, haven't you, Jay?
Yeah.
Okay. So, man, it's actually been a while since I've read that. Maybe it needs to be a reread.
It's one of those ones where I tend to reread it almost every year just because I enjoy it. It trumps a lot of new stuff that comes out. I'll go and read that. That and the other thing that I read every year at Christmas time is Grant Morrison's Claws. I read that.
Oh, Claws. That is good.
Yeah. It's such a fun take on everything. And Grant Morrison doesn't go into like crazy trippy Grant Morrison too much in it. So it's like tame Grant Morrison. There's like the two peyote scenes, and that's it.
Well, wait a second. Wasn't the last one when they had this planet coming into the solar system, and they had to grab some people from Mars, and they had to grab some people from Venus?
I'm talking about the original like 6-issue or 7-issue, whatever it was. and I really enjoyed the whole theory behind it, where he had said, this is a series that he wants to come back to, maybe not every year, but frequently enough, and tell another story, because as he put it, everyone views Santa very differently, and so different situations you see Santa different. So obviously there was one, I think, during World War II where you kind of see Santa is represented one way. The story that he started with was obviously much farther back in time. I like the idea behind it. It was very, very clever.
And I like the wolves as opposed to the reindeer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the whole shamanistic side of things, more of the tribal, the peyote scene where he goes and he makes all the toys and the Krampusnacht, and I just, there were some really touching things in it too. Like at the end when the woman that he's in love with is an old lady and he hasn't aged because he's this magical Santa being, and she basically says you have to go, and he, without saying so much, basically says you're the only woman that I ever want to see or be with. I mean, there's very touching parts of it too, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm. No, it was very well written, and the art was just phenomenal. I thought.
Yep.
Who did the art? Yep, Mora. I love Mora art.
Mm-hmm. I'm ashamed to say, as a Grant Morrison fan, I've never read Claws.
Oh, if you've not read it?
No.
I'm sure there's a collected edition out there.
I'm sure there is.
Hardcover, trade paperback, you name it. I have them all actually right back there.
Yeah, I think I got the floppies. I just had to dig them out of some of the boxes behind me.
But those two, they're out there.
Yeah, I gotta start getting some more
trades
and such.
What run of comics do you have the most different copies of floppies, hardcovers, trades?
That's an easy one for me.
All right.
Love and Rockets.
I kind of had a hunch that's where that was going to go.
I've got all the floppies, most of the trades, and even some hardcovers.
What about some of the Terry Moore stuff?
I don't have a lot of floppies. I have all his stuff is in either trades. I've got the omnibus for Strangers in Paradise, the omnibus for Rachel Rising. I've got all.
We tried to get that all black Omni for Rachel Rising, but his website broke that day.
Yes.
Oh, did you purchase any of his art from his art sale this past weekend?
No, I didn't.
Aww.
I saw it kind of going on. I'm not dipping my toes in. I don't want to get that deep, but I definitely saw that art sale was going on.
He did 40 sketches and they were gone in like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like, why even go to a con? Just do that.
I was going to say, he's got no reason to go to a con.
He likes people, though. So, I mean.
He does.
Oh, what was it, Jay? Last C2E2. we were there, and some woman come up with a suitcase,
I
and
remember the story.
More than one suitcase.
he signed every book.
Jenny
she
Frison
had
does the
the
exact
entire-
same thing.
She had the entire
does.
run of floppies of Strangers in Paradise, which is like runs to 120 issues, and she brought them all up there, and he signed every one of them.
Happily.
Yeah, and Jenny Frison does the same thing. She doesn't charge for signatures, and I've seen people bring up the entire run of Wonder Woman covers. I've seen the entire run of Revival. I've seen all of her Dynamite covers, and she just is, if you put it on the table, she's signing it, and she's going to smile at you while she's signing it. She doesn't care. So,
That's good.
Yeah.
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 What
So
about
I
you,
guess
Dennis?
for me, I guess it'd be two of them. So, Fables, because I love Fables. Oh, that's like one of the few. It and Preacher were the two series that I had that I just, when they ended, I was just like, what do I do now? So, but I have many different versions of Fables, and then the one I have the most of is Kingdom Come.
Okay. So you
As I
have
got-
the singles, the trade, the hardcover, is it the slipcase?
The signed leather bound slipcase. I love Kingdom Come. If they made that into an accurate DC EU movie, I think I could die a happy man.
I don't think they could.
You don't think they could? You don't think you can make Kingdom Come into a movie? You
They'd
don't
have
think?
to change the story a little bit. First of all, they have some issues with Shazam, so they'd have to shift a couple things. Obviously, they had a Shazam movie, and then the other thing is there's a lot of religious-based undertones in that book that they'd have to change, and that would not fly in Warner Brothers or AT&T, which is a shame.
Yeah.
Because if you just tell the story the way it is, I agree. Damn good story. And the art, of course, Alex Ross. Jeez.
And can you think of any other unappreciated artists? I mean, not to discount everybody else, but we talk about Jenny Frison, then you talk about Delato, and everybody's about
Art Germ,
and then who's for
Joshua
doing all
Middleton.
the Dynamite? Priscilla? Oh no,
Perillo.
Yeah, but Ross has been doing this since like the early '90s, and his stuff just still. His Marvel stuff looks too bright and shiny to me for some reason. I don't know what it is.
I love his Iron Man covers that he's doing right now. His Immortal Hulk covers are really good too, but his Iron Man covers are just, oh god, they're just gorgeous.
Well, I know I've been getting the Immortal Hulk, and it's just like I want the regular A cover, I want the regular Alex Ross cover, I want that for the entire run.
Yep.
But man, I just love Ross. I don't for some reason. No, I like his DC. I like it. No, yeah, he's made some great. No, the one Iron Man I did get the. Didn't he do the Iron Man cover where he's like in the bottle of or in the glass of scotch? Is that an Alex Ross? There's one where he's in the Iron Man. He's in. I think that is Alex Ross. I did pick that one up just because of that. I think
I can't think of it off the top of my head. The one that I'm thinking of is the Iron Man in a bottle, and that's definitely not an Alex Ross cover.
But I don't know though. I don't. Maybe I know his Spider-Man is bright, but I know Spider-Man's got bright colors.
Yeah,
but it's just, and I do like. I'm trying to think of what else I've seen. Wasn't he doing some? He was doing covers where it was throwback. No, actually, didn't he do the headshot? No, not the headshot.
Timeless.
The timeless. That's it. The timeless one. I did pick up several issues of that.
That's from a large
mural.
Poster. Yeah, the mural that he had done, and it's the headshots of him. Yeah, that was gorgeous. Well, I think what you just hit on those is commonly the stark difference between DC and Marvel historically, and it's not necessarily the case as much now with DC, but for a long time, DC was kind of more the publisher of hope and optimism, and the spirit of Superman, right? The Boy Scout who can't do wrong, and Wonder Woman, this immortal woman basically who brings hope to everyone. And whereas Marvel was kind of always meant to be street level and facing like this is New York reality. New York is not always sunshine and rainbows, right? There's despair, there's danger, there's and just being street level, grounded in a real world place, allowed Marvel to take on some of those more real heart getting stories. Whereas with DC, you were in Keystone City, you were in the middle of Kansas in a made up metropolis. You're Gotham, places that don't exist, quote unquote, in the real world. Yeah. And because of that, you can't ground really in anything and connect it to an individual. So it was much brighter and lighter and happier. There was obviously despair and troubles. You had Speedy on drugs. You had, kind of the space traveling heroes and that kind of era of things where we kind of went a little bit darker. And then you've got your Batman that's not exactly bright and shiny a lot of the time. But that's where I see the big tonal difference historically. And now DC is pretty much all just very negative. Oh yeah. Yeah. That one.
Yeah, and it's a Del Otto. It's not a Ross. Yeah. Well, and I think Jay and I were talking about that last time or something, because I remember when we had the JLA Avengers crossover in the early 90s. I remember that was the comment when the Justice League came over to the Marvel universe. They were talking about how gritty it was, and nobody's got any hope, and it was dark and everything. And I just found it ironic that the DC cinematic universe is considered dark and
it's so depressing
and the Marvel's all nice and bright and everything and all like that. Yeah, well, you don't like the Zack Snyder DC universe?
No, I have not liked it. I have only fallen asleep during 2 movies in my entire life: Annie Hall and Batman v Superman.
That's 2 very disparate choices there.
Yep. So, and I have one takeaway line from each movie. In Annie Hall, it was when they pull a car over to park and they're about 3 feet off the curb, and Woody Allen goes, "Well, we can walk from here." And then the comment about your mother's name is Martha. And the fact that those are my only key takeaways from the 2 movies points to some significant issues with the films.
Well, I heard that the director's cut, is it a director's cut, Jay, that's better? Which I have yet to see the Snyder cut for Justice League, but for Batman versus Superman, the director's cut, they put some stuff in and stuff makes...
Director's cut's better than the theatrical release, yeah.
So, which I've yet to see the director's cut of that. So, my wife actually sat with me through just the Snyder cut, and I threatened to take her through Man of Steel, and then BVS director's cut. Because
questioning how much you love your wife.
Well, she was asking too many questions. I mean, I enjoyed Man of Steel. I was actually really looking forward to that movie, and I really enjoyed it. But at that time, I was also in that documentary film mode. I love the jittery camera and the pans in and out.
Yeah,
and some of the visuals.
And that style just doesn't always click for me. Like The Office, I cannot watch The Office. I can't do all that like in-out camera stuff. When they redid the Muppet Show, like I don't know what it was when Miss Piggy had her nighttime show or her talk show. Like, it was filmed like The Office, and I was like, okay, I love these characters. I cannot watch this. I'm getting sick. It's not. I don't like it.
Well, no, I'll agree. I do not like the documentary, like the way they do Modern Family and all that. But I'm thinking back to like how they did BSG, because I love to reimagine Battlestar Galactica, and it was only and how that was done documentary style, but they didn't break the fourth wall.
Right.
And I think BSG used it to highlight stuff or to call attention to details and things. I think that was intentional, and that's why I liked it in Man of Steel, because he's flying off and you see him and you see he's leaving the contrails and everything like an aircraft would be, and then you would zoom in and stuff like that. That's the aspects I liked of it.
Right.
To kind of give it some of that real world physics.
Yeah, but that's a little bit different than just I call it the shaky camera aspect of like they did with BSG. It's obviously somebody holding a camera on their shoulder and filming this, and although they got away from that a little bit later in BSG. It was really heavily used in the first season, but then they kind of backed off from it.
Well, they started using it more. It was used in the with the CGI and the scenes in outer space and such, because you've got the vastness, and then you'd have to focus in on something.
Right.
And instead of doing cut shots, you zoom in and out. I don't know, to kind of give you that sense of how everything is, because you're in space and it's 3D, so you got to kind of see. Okay, first, you got to see where everything is, and then you zoom into the action, and you know why things are coming into wherever they're coming into. I don't know, but I will say that the last season or two of BSG did seem, some of it I couldn't follow, and I don't know if I agree with the whole Final Five thing. But anyway, I still enjoyed it.
Well, for me, the runs that I have the most different iterations of, definitely Why the Last Man, because I have the singles, the original trades, the hardcovers, the omnibus, and now they've got the paperback,
Ultimate?
The complete editions or whatever. I don't have the big jumbo size one, but I have every other form factor. And then the one that I also have all of the form factors that came of it, which doesn't amount to as much as Y, is JLA Avengers. I have the issues, the trade, the two hardcover slipcase. Yeah.
Do you have the DCU logo ones, variants?
I do not.
Ha! You call yourself a fan.
But I have three sets. I have 3 sets of those 4 issues, but none of the DCU logo.
I think I only got the floppies of those. I remember that was a big deal back in the day.
The trade and the hardcovers are ridiculously hard to find, and they're relatively expensive because they'll never be reprinted. Marvel just won't reprint them; they won't allow it. So,
and I don't guess
see it, get it. That's my thing. Is if you see the hardcover for anything between probably $200 and $300, jump on it. And that trade, if you see it under 100, jump on it. And that price could have gone up since, I last looked at it 6 months ago. But
that was all. Yeah. Was it all Perez art, or was it just on the Marvel?
Kurt Busiek with Perez art.
Oh man, now I want to go back and reread it. So how do you like Saga from BKV?
I enjoy it. I enjoy it quite a bit. I'm a little frustrated that the 1-year hiatus is turning into 3.
Yeah, it has been about 3, hasn't it?
I enjoy the space opera, kind of Western feel is fun. I like that it's written slightly more for adults, but at the same time, like if we have 16, 17, but if we have like 16, 17, 18-year-old kids coming in that ask about it, I'm not ashamed or afraid to show them, because they've seen it and heard the language probably long before they turn 16. Whereas there's some things out there where it's like, I'm not going to show Faithless to anyone under under 18 by Azzarello. That's a little stretch. So no, I enjoy it. It's an easy seller because it is it's very new comic reader friendly, in that there's no big back history that people have to be familiar with. And on top of it, it's written in a style that is very approachable and understandable for someone in their daily life. The struggles of the in-laws and kind of a little bit of that Romeo and Juliet, Capulet Montague type thing. And then the cute trick of it being from Hazel's point of view is just all of it bundled up makes it really fun. I hired somebody in October to come and work on my team, my real job. And she'd never read comics, but she's like, send me something and let me read it. So I sent her the first issue, the $1, image first of Saga. And she was like, I need more of this and I need it now. I love Alana. That she is my spirit animal. I need more of this now. So I sent her the big, thick paperback compendium or whatever. And she's chewing through it. But yeah, so I do enjoy it, and it's a great seller.
Yeah, if it would just pick back. I hadn't realized it was 3 years. I was actually thinking about it the other day, thinking it's been more than a year.
Yeah, yeah,
it's been more than it was supposed to be a year hiatus, but I don't.
Yep.
Is BKV writing anything else, and is Staples drawing anything else? It's
all the television production stuff for Y.
Well, that gets picked up, then it gets dropped, then it gets picked up, then it gets dropped.
Well, it was picked up and then it was shifted. It went from a Fox series to a movie to an FX series, and I think there's something else. There's another film project that he's working on too. I think, but yeah, so, he's playing in Hollywood.
I guess he needs to get back to writing comics.
Right? Paper Girls was another good one. That was one that was really easy to hand off to, especially women. The whole idea of these, girls. But it got a little trippy with the space stuff, and it was kind of like, are you up with some sci-fi? Because if you are, then you're gonna like it. If you're not,
well, it's got that. It's kind of got that Stranger Things vibe.
A little bit of Stranger Things.
First season.
Yeah. What was the other?
I think I lasted 3 issues of Paper Girls. That's all.
Really? That's all?
Yeah. Wasn't for me.
And then what was the one he did with Tony Harris?
Um,
the New York Mayor New York one. The Ex Machina. Oh, Ex Machina.
Ex Machina, yeah.
Which is it Machina or Machina? I always say Machina. I don't know why I say Machina, but it is Machina.
It was confusing when that Ex Machina movie came out, and it was like, wait, that has nothing to do with BKV's story.
Well,
exactly.
Exactly.
How did they take that branding? Oh well. Yep, I have that one too.
I don't know. I'm just happy that JMS got his eyes fixed and he's writing comics again, which is doing everything for AWA.
That is a publisher that is it came out of the gate swinging, and they are not letting up. I've been really impressed with the reader retention on all of those titles. Most titles we see that standard curve. The first issue's got the biggest, bite where a lot of people will try it. The second issue, not as much, and then by the third issue, you've kind of leveled off about 50% or so of what your first issue was, and then you're just going to kind of see a slow decline after that. I would say with AWA, I've maybe got a 15% drop from issue 1 to the rest of the run, because they're 4, 5, 6 issue stories, and it's quality talent. It's not like it's just random people you've never heard of before. So I've been really impressed with their output.
I mean, is that what they're doing right? They've got they let the creators or the artists come in and do what they want to do and just leave them alone.
Yep.
Well, isn't that what Aftershock and
Vault, the old
Marvel
guys?
Yeah, but isn't that what Aftershock and Vault and them do? I mean,
yes, no. So Aftershock is more or less a media company, and it's an IP farm. So they're giving people a place to go and create things that they might want to try and turn into some sort of media franchise, right? So that's really one of the biggest hooks with Aftershock, is that they're co-owned or whatever with a production company. They've got, I believe, Donny Cates' God Country is a film or something that they're going to be in charge of running. So they're kind of set up to be more of that full-on media platform. AWA, I'm sure that factors into it, but a lot of those AWA people are kind of the Joe Quesada era Marvel folks that are kind of like, let's get the band back together again, and start telling some of these other stories that we want to. Like I said, I'm sure there's a media pitch and IP farm kind of idea behind it as well, but tighter group of people that are connected together, whereas with Aftershock and Vault, it's kind of like, you want to come bring a story, come and bring a story.
Okay, but has anything even gotten made into some other media from Aftershock yet?
Not yet, but I mean, how long has it taken for a lot of the properties that we're seeing now to get turned into something? So it's a slow evolutionary process. I think usually from when the rights get sold, it can take like 5 to 7 years before you see something on the screen. And I don't even know if Aftershock's been around that long.
Let me see. So we got Umbrella Academy. I guess that has been a while. Jupiter's Legacy is about to come out. Old Guard. That was a
quicker turnaround.
That was an Image title, though.
Well, yeah, but it's like, what's the turnaround from? But I guess
Millar
already has his deal in place, so, and he already writes his stuff for turning into either a movie or a series or something. So
Right.
I heard that they're in the process of making Tokyo Ghost now.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
still not gonna look as good as that
I think that's been on the
Murphy
table for
art.
quite a while.
Well,
Yeah.
no, it's not going to Sean Murphy art. No, I mean that's top notch.
I'm trying to remember Tokyo. Actually, I think I'd rather have seen Chrononauts first than I would have Tokyo Ghost.
Yeah, I was excited when they said they were going to do that, and then I just never went anywhere.
Chrononauts would be awesome as a movie.
Yeah, a really good. I mean, I hate to say it, but it kind of had some similar vibes to the Big Hero 6. And for those that haven't read Chrononauts, I don't want to give too much away. Have you guys seen Big Hero 6?
No,
No, I haven't seen that.
It's a fun movie. It's a fun movie that adults can enjoy as well. Obviously, I have a 7-year-old, so we watch a lot of that. But
Oh, is it a standard Pixar where they put in the jokes that the only adults will get?
yeah, there's some of that, but it's from a Marvel story. Same characters, slightly different characterizations, but it has some very similar bends to the Chrononauts thing, which the Big Hero 6 is animated. Obviously, Chrononauts would probably be a live person based show, so it could really it could be cool.
Yep. So, I'm trying to think what. I guess nothing. I mean, you always hear about it's like comics are the perfect thing to make into some other media because the storyboarding's already done.
Correct.
But
If only
it's
people could start to learn that comics are great because the script is already written too. We don't have to change the script in a lot of these. Like, just add to it if you need to, but don't change it.
Well, did Watchmen really change a lot?
Not too much.
not too
I
much.
think just was it the ending? We're talking the original Watchmen, not
Yeah,
the series.
yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the original. Yeah, you're right. It didn't. Well, yeah, because in the series they did talk about it was a squid as opposed to Dr. Manhattan.
Right. I contest that some of the most faithful adaptations of things were some of those Netflix Marvel series. I mean, there was some creative license taken, but the actual tones and a lot of the story beats were fairly accurate for, especially Daredevil. I liked a lot of those. I was sad to see them end.
Yeah, I still have a few. I still have the third season of Daredevil and the second season of Punisher to watch. I'm assuming they're still on Netflix. I know the rights have been released, but I'm assuming Netflix can still show those.
I think they retained perpetual right to show them because it was their studios.
So that's one of them is going to be my plane trip down to Costa Rica next week, and the other one's going to be my plane trip back. That's where I catch up on a lot of the series I've missed. I will say the series I was kind of disappointed. I enjoyed it, but I was disappointed it didn't follow the books. Was Preacher?
Mm-hmm. It started off so promising, and then I think it was the third episode was kind of like, oh, damn.
Because I will say, I think Preacher was my favorite series of all time. God, I love that.
I do appreciate the fact that they left Arseface in, and they actually got his face to look pretty close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I didn't mind the casting and everything like that. It just maybe it was just the order of the way things changed, and then he had to throw in Hitler and all. Yeah.
Yep.
So
again, the story was written; it was just right. Why did you have to change it?
I don't know, because these executives know better.
Sure.
I mean, is there a movie or a series that's been almost panel for panel or word for word for the source material?
Killing Joke, with the exception of the stuff they added in about Batgirl.
Yeah, the rooftop scene. What the hell?
But
yeah, you take the rooftop scene out. I think that one was pretty darn close. It's a lot of those Batman animated ones that I'm thinking of, like Batman Red Sun. Red Sun. Red Sun, right, with Damian. and Talia and Ra's al Ghul and stuff. That was a pretty close adaptation. A lot of those animated ones are fairly close.
Yeah, it's like that's the thing. DC can do the animated, awesome.
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
can't they translate that into the live action?
Just let Chris Nolan do it. He seemed to do just fine with his Dark Knight trilogy.
I guess, but I don't know.
Well, I think that's what shocked
maybe
them was they gave that big film deal to Zack Snyder after 300, and it was an X amount of films, and so they kind of had to let that run its course. I think because financially it would have been a bigger dog to kill the contract and pay him out than it would have been to see the films through. So when you look at a lot of his films, they all kind of have that same tone. They tend to be slow moving, very dramatic, there's a lot of slow-mo sections in it where you're just like, okay, 45 seconds of watching someone float. Can we just move on with it, please?
No, I did enjoy 300. I guess it.
But that style of directing, exactly? It worked for that story. The thing with superheroes is, as much as we think that superheroes are so fast at slow motion, they're faster than a speeding bullet. So why are you slowing it down? Like, let the motion happen so I get the feeling, and you kind of get taken out of it. That's my opinion. I'm
okay.
Me and myself.
See, I'm going to be curious to look because they're doing the long Halloween now.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen that? Have you seen the promo for it yet?
Yeah, I have.
It's like I'm saying. It's like DC could do the animated.
I've got a couple questions about it though. Number one, they're doing it in 2 parts, so that's always kind of dicey.
Well, isn't that how they did the Dark Knight Returns animated? I think they did a part 1 and part 2 for that.
I think so. Yeah.
For the 2 parts though, in this one, are the 2 parts going to contain the 3 stories? Because you had the Long Halloween, the Dark Victory, and shoot, what's the other one? There's the Tim Sale, Jeff Loeb. Yeah. They did the 3.
You're right.
Stories, and they all go together.
You're right. What was that 3rd one?
Haunted Night.
I don't know. Yeah, Haunted Night. You're right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, but I'm curious because The Long Halloween, arguably best Batman story ever.
Yeah,
definitely
but
you
didn't even have the floppies until like a year or 2 ago. So how do you if it was the greatest
because
one?
I never found them for a price that I was willing to pay for. That's why.
You didn't get them when they first came out?
They're not cheap.
No, I didn't get them when they first came out.
But I'll agree with you, Jay. That is one of my favorite Batman stories. I love the Calendar Man. I love it. I love that story. I've read that one on an airplane many a time.
But it's not a high action story, so that's going to be what's curious because that can be kind of slow moving at times. But it probably shows Batman best as a detective as of anything that's ever been written about him.
Well, you see, that's what what? I bet it wouldn't sell in in Warner Brothers or AT&T's in the pitch, but I'd almost love to see like a Batman movie where it's no action and it's all detective.
Yeah, I you're not the only one. There's a lot of people that want to kind of, I hate to say get back to the roots, but kind of get back to that persona of the world's greatest detective. And it doesn't mean you don't have any action, because think of the Batman animated TV series. He was a detective in that, and he still had action where he had to, catch the criminals and wrap them up and chase the Joker, but he was actively detecting things. And I've always had this thought in my mind of, I'm a GIS major by trade, so maps are kind of a huge thing for me, but I always thought, how cool would it be to have kind of a run of Batman as a detective that focuses on Gotham, and you've got the map of Gotham, and each issue they're all 1 or 2 issue stories. So if you're a new reader, you're not lost. But they all take place based on this map, and you're piecing together this whole mystery. And as you fill in the gaps, you're starting to find all the pieces that then culminate into one big thing. But you do it all from this map so that it can help orient readers to Gotham and understand where Crime Alley is in relation to Wayne Manor, in relation to Arkham Asylum, in relation to the bridge to Bloodhaven and stuff like that. Just kind of like build that as the framework and then have it be detective work. somebody wants to write that, feel free to take my idea because I'll buy it.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I agree with you, Jay. The detective aspect, the tone of it is darker in tone, but I think to the points that we've made, because there's not as much action in it, it can lend itself to more of that street procedural style where you're following someone, you're knocking on doors and you're finding information, as opposed to all of a sudden this fantastical superhero thing happens and now all of a sudden we've got sparks flying everywhere and people are in slow-mo and bullets are whizzing past you like you're in the Matrix. We can focus more on that detective work, which would be phenomenal.
Right.
You'd almost want the 1940s Batman for that, and just that's a crime noir.
I do enjoy my Batman Golden Age omnibus collection that I have. I like a lot of those older.
Oh, don't even get me started, because that just reminds me of that canceled hardcover collection for the pre-27 Detective that DC was going to put out.
Oh yeah, and don't forget about the other one, the Monster Society of Evil.
Yeah.
As soon as they canceled the Monster Society of Evil, I just put down the money and bought one of the originals. So I was like, this is never coming back.
About that pre-27 collection, you didn't like that they mentioned Batman on the slipcover, Dennis.
Oh,
remember you didn't like the slipcover. Yeah, because
it's like, it's before Batman, so you don't have to throw Batman on it, even though because it's before Batman.
It's Detective Comics.
Yes, it's detective, or tech, as we like to
those
refer
in
to
the
it.
industry.
And some people hate that, and some people love it when we refer to it that way.
It's all good. Yeah.
Getting back.
Go ahead.
Kind of swinging back to the exclusive covers.
Sure.
You're getting 2 of them now. What is the process? Because I've always wondered, what's the process for a store getting an exclusive cover?
Sure. So it's a little different with different publishers. And the smaller the publisher, I don't want to say the easier. The smaller the publisher, oftentimes the more simple the steps. So with a publisher like Marvel, it can be frustrating if you are not a store that has like Clayton Crane. I think it was Scorpion Comics. He was like, okay, he's our exclusive cover artist for a year or whatever it was. You tell Marvel, I'm interested in doing an exclusive cover for this book, and if it's not a #1 or an issue where they're up to doing an exclusive, they'll just say no, we're not doing exclusives. But then if it is, they'll send you a list of house artists that they have and say, here's a list of artists that you can pick from. You can promote one if you want, but don't expect to get it. We'll verify. So, and great case of this is we wanted to do a store exclusive for Alien for the #1 issue, but we wanted to do the original movie sell sheet. We thought, how freaking cool would that be to have that original movie poster as the cover to the first issue of Alien? And we promoted that idea to them, and they're like, we'll have to talk to licensing. And it came back, nope, can't use that. It's a different licensing group, so we can't use the poster. All right, so we let that one pass. Then it came up with the Batman Bounty Hunters alpha that we have an exclusive with. And they sent us the list, and we were looking through, we're like, we don't know any of these people. And we're looking up their art, and it's like, yeah, it's not art we can sell to our customers. I'm sure that somebody has a market for it, not us. And so we were like, well, what about Dave Dorman? He did a ton of amazing Star Wars art. He is a Lucasfilm artist. He does, their posters for Star Wars Celebration and stuff. So we reached out to Marvel, and I think this is the quickest they've ever responded to an email. And it was 2 letters, no, N-O. Because if you think about it, Dorman hasn't done any Star Wars work since Marvel got the license. So I don't know what there is there, but clearly there's something. So that was out. And so then we ended up finding, thinking about, okay, who are other people that have done great Star Wars covers? And we, promoted Jan Duursema and said, hey, can we use Jan? And they came back and said, sure. So that was how we did Marvel. And then what they do is they will do a number of different things, like you have to pay the artist. So we have to work with the artist on the art fee. And then Marvel sets a print run minimum of 3,000 copies for your first cover. You can do smaller print runs for subsequent covers, but you pay a plate fee for each cover you do. So usually about $500 for a plate fee. And then, yeah, you get a sketch of the art, send it to Marvel. They approve it. You do the full artwork, send it to them. They either correct, like point out things, say like, you can't show that in the background, you can't do that, and then kick it back, and then you send the final artwork again, and then they give it a thumbs up. Then they apply the trade dress, and they give you the final image stuff, and then they literally just sit there. And we were like, this book is coming out in less than a month. We'd really like to be able to pre-sell. And they're like, nope, can't share any of the art yet. Like, it's on FOC now. We'd like to be able to pre-sell this book. And they're like, can't share the art yet. So on the FOC, I put it on there, but I didn't have any art. And I had a couple of people who were like, it'd be really great to see the cover. And my response to each of them was like, I really wish I could show you the cover. Unfortunately, Marvel has it embargoed for now. And so then they finally gave us the green light yesterday to share the art. So we did. So that's the Marvel process. Bigger print run, just a ton of corporate overhead that you have to go through. And they are very slow to respond to emails. Like, we're not talking hours, we're talking days, sometimes a week or more to respond to an email. And you're just like, did you forget about us? Are we lost? With Valiant, way different. For us, we've had for a number of years now an incredible relationship with Valiant. Started with Matthew Klein, who I said had left and is now at Penguin Random House, and continues with all of the staff at Valiant. They are hands down the number one publisher for us to see us succeed and to work with us. And the process that they have is you reach out about wanting an exclusive cover, and they'll say, okay, what artist would you like? And you give them a list of 1, 2, or 3 names, and then they go out and they contact those artists and see if they're available. And then the way that Valiant does it is you don't pay for the original art. It's baked into how many copies are required to buy of the book. So, some artists work much more or cost much more. Alex Ross, I think if you want him to do a cover, it's, $5,000 to $20,000, depending on what he's doing. Whereas some of your smaller artists, lesser knowns, are going to be like $350 to $500. It just depends on who they are and how busy they are. So we said, we want Jenny for Shadow Man. That's our number one. And they came back and they said, she's up for it. Do you want to do one issue or do you want to do all 4? And we said, is she up for doing all 4? And they said, yes. And so we gave the thumbs up. So we're doing all 4 with Jenny.
So you're doing that. You're going to have exclusives for the first 4 Shadow Man.
Yep. The first arc. Yep.
Nice.
And tell you what, how can I do this? I don't have the whole sharing thing down well. So Dennis, here's what I'm going to do. We have the go ahead that we can share the art. We haven't listed these live yet on the exclusive website. We will this coming week, but just because we're here and I'm feeling like it, I'm going to.
Can you do it down at the bottom where it says share?
I was actually just going to email it to you.
Okay, that's fine.
Figure. You want to share?
Oh,
too.
I just got some emails. I got some NFTs dropping tomorrow.
Ooh. So we've got another artist doing a couple of exclusives coming up later in the summer for us. Not going to disclose that person's name yet, but it'll be exciting. And that's how Valiant works. We did an exclusive with Aftershock, and theirs was kind of a hybrid between the Marvel and the Valiant approach, where we had to pay Phil Hester for the cover. And then there was a minimum print run. Obviously, a plate fee applies with all these, and it's pretty standard $500 plate fee for every publisher. But we, I can't remember what our print run was for Jimmy's Bastards that we did, that Phil did for us. But it was kind of the hybrid. So we paid Phil for the art, and then we paid for the print run of the books. We've got a couple of exclusives that we're going in on a few on other individuals on that will be releasing the same day as Shadow Man 1. We're just waiting for all of us. Yep, that's our Shadow Man 2 cover. It's
And that is I
The
can't think of
character?
the character. Yeah, I can't think of the character's name. It's
Let's see if you can get it.
oh, it's one of the pantheon of the Loas. Crap. Now, I'm losing my Valiant card. He's the Loa of Death. Crap. All right. I'm not gonna. Come on, Jay. Come on, help me here.
You got me.
Baron Samadi.
There you go.
That's it. Baron Samadi. I knew I'd get it eventually. That is nice. I just love Jenny's work. God, I just love
And
it. And,
I can assure
if you
you-
ever buy her, and if you buy her art, you get 2 pieces, right?
Most of the time. I have one that's a single piece because she did it for an art show, an art gallery showing. James bought a Wonder Woman cover and I bought a Wonder Woman cover. He's got the 2 and they're small, like, 8x10 for one, and then I think the other's 10x12. Whereas I have, it's tucked up there, I have a large single that has both the line work and the shading on it. So, but yes, usually you get 2. So, and she sells her art through Cadence Comic Art.
Mhm.
So if anyone's interested, feel free to go and check it out. But
I go through and
first cover-
I see some of the Wonder Woman covers still on there that are nice.
Yep. So the first issue, Shadow Man. The second issue, Samedi. The third issue and the fourth issue, I cannot tell you who they are yet, but they are going to be even better, like blow your mind better. So, yeah. So we're really excited about it. With the, like I said, with the Aftershock, you paid the art, you paid for the print run, and then you've got it. With Image, it's very similar to that as well. You work with the artist offline, but before you can engage them to start doing the art, you have to get approval from Image, which essentially is approval from the creators of the title that you want to do the exclusive for, to not only do an exclusive, but also to approve the artwork for it. So, great case in point, one of the books that we're partnering on an exclusive cover with that's coming out later this month is actually the initial sketch had a character that looked somewhat like Spawn in the background. And they flagged that and they said, too close to Spawn. Yes, it's all under the Image umbrella, but studio, different, everything. And unless you want to go through and get an approval from Todd, which I will tell you can be very difficult, you may just want to change that design a little bit. And so let's just change that. No need to cause more trouble. So with Image, then it's a minimum 500 print run for whatever book you want. If you want, 6 different variations of the cover, it's minimum 500 for each and 500 plate fee. Boom
You only have to
Studios-
get 500 for Image.
Right.
Mike Myers
And then-
could get his own Savage Dragon cover.
He could. He could, depending on who he wants to commission to do the art. And then you figure probably about a little over $1,000 by the time you get done printing. I know. Yeah, you're $1,000 for the books and shipping, another 500 for the plate fee, put the art on top of that. So you probably $2,000 to $2,500.
Yeah, but do you get the? And I guess do you get the?
You do not get the original art. No.
Oh, so that's extra. So you figure after all that, you might just get a discount on the original art.
We are talking with Jenny and her art dealer to see if we can secure the Shadow Man covers for the store. So we shall see. But with her, she's an artist and she loves horror. And when she heard doing Shadow Man, she jumped on it, and we were told this is art that she may not want to give up. She may just want to keep it.
Okay.
So, which is fine. That's obviously her choice.
Yeah, and that just means she's putting that much more effort and thought into it.
Yeah. And then Boom is
Not that she doesn't in anything else.
Yeah.
But
Right.
sometimes if you got your passion and all that, it just shows.
Right. All of her Wonder Woman covers are gorgeous, but if she has a passion for horror, she's probably going to focus on smaller, fine details of something that maybe she wouldn't focus so much on with other covers. But like you said, all of her work is top notch. She doesn't phone anything in. So and then Boom is very similar to Image. You're paying the artist, you're paying a plate fee, you've got a minimum print run that they set. I cannot remember what the minimum print run for Boom is. I want to say it's 1,000 for the first, and then maybe 300 or 500 for any subsequent cover printing that you want to do. So that one just kind of depends on how you want to do it. So, and then the price for the issues is at your current standard discount through Diamond, because all of these will get printed, sent to Diamond, and then shipped to you generally. Aftershock shipped from the printer to us, but typically our Valiant stuff goes through Diamond. Our Marvel stuff is supposed to go through Diamond. So,
and so it's always a flat rate that you pay the artist. They don't get a percentage of sales for any of the exclusive covers.
Oh, I think he froze up a bit.
He did freeze up a bit.
Man, we were going so well. I guess it's that Wisconsin internet. I don't know. How do we...
There's not much we can do that I know.
I don't know. How do we reset this? Okay. Now we're getting technical difficulties. Well, I don't guess it's technical too much. So I don't know. I guess that might be he's completely dropped off. So I guess we'll just chat among ourselves here and keep ourselves entertained here for a little bit. So I don't know. I mean, if you were an artist, Jay, would you just want to, if you don't know how the comic's going to sell or anything, would you want a percentage of the comics, or would you just want to get your rate that you're going to get paid? I guess
I don't know. Some artists, if they're selfish, might ask for both. Probably I would just do a flat rate because that's guaranteed money. Whereas, like I say, you don't know. I can't imagine them not selling all 3,000 copies of.
He's back.
Sorry. Not sure what happened.
So did you hear my question?
I did not. I'm sorry. Can you repeat it?
Yeah, I was like, so is it always just a flat artist fee you pay the artist? They don't get a percentage of sales on the...
Correct. You predetermine the art fee with the artist, and that's the set fee. Yeah.
Okay. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a process I'd never known anything about as far as store exclusives.
Yeah. The other struggle, and you said, Mike Myers should get his own Savage Dragon cover. The only problem is Mike would have to make sure that he has someone with a Diamond account, because they do require you to have a Diamond account to do that. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because, again, everything pretty much flows through Diamond. Because they are the exclusive distributor. Or at least were.
Yeah.
I'm assuming your DC stuff would go through Lunar now, but I don't know.
Yeah. I know. I think, didn't Justin and Dewan and them do an exclusive cover for Exo Manowar for Martin's Valiant database? It was a Valiant database variant that they made.
I don't remember that.
Oh, you don't remember that?
No, I don't.
Yeah. And I think Justin or somebody did have a
a
Diamond
I
account.
remember it now. I've got it. I've actually got the thing.
Yeah, I'm about to say.
Sorry, just took me a minute. That's been. I'm an old man. That's been 3 years ago. I don't,
You're not an old man yet.
But yeah, I remember that.
You get closer every day.
But I don't know the specifics of how they did that. I know Justin was behind it.
No,
Yeah,
Justin's the man.
Chances are too, it depends who was in charge at the time. If certain individuals were running things, Dinesh, Adam, you might have been able to do stuff. But right now, the process is we just have to go through Diamond. It requires a Diamond account. Marvel's the same, Image is the same, Boom is the same. Whatever.
It was back
Right.
during the Dinesh era, so I think they.
Yeah.
And see, after Valiant used the old Valiant database that Martin did because they didn't have anything like that in house, and so Martin had
Right.
had all the covers from both VEI and
Oh,
VH1
and Acclaim.
and Acclaim,
Yep.
and
Yeah, it was
I don't know what
basically a
happened to that
Valiant
database
comic book DB.
Mm-hmm.
exactly, and they used it, and
Yep. I think they still do. They still lean on it at times, or some archived version therein.
Man, I
Right.
haven't
And the
even
reason I
gone in
say
that.
that is because we may or may not be having a very exciting Valiant thing coming up in August.
Who? We
Okay.
Kowabunga we or comic industry we?
We Kowabunga we.
Ooh.
Nice.
Yep. So
In August?
they in August. I mean, we'll have Jenny covers coming out, for 4 months, and then we've got 2 other covers that are coming out. One's in July and one's in September. And then our plan is to land something in August too.
Oh man, you can't coordinate it with C2E2 in December?
We're trying to make it easy for everyone, and we're saying every first Saturday, May through August, we're doing a swap meet at the shop, which is anyone who wants to come and set up and sell stuff is allowed to. If you need a table, it's $10 a table. No price to be a visitor or whatever. We've got some guys that hit the local circuit, a couple of guys that hit like the Wizard World and C2E2 side of things that are coming out. So we're trying to do the best we can, and it's all going to be outdoors, so it's weather permitting. But it's going to
Well, I
be
guess
fun.
things are starting to open up better or more.
Oh yeah.
And I guess you're still not doing gaming night or anything, or magic night or whatever that's called now.
Friday Night Magic. So there's certain, I can't remember which company. If it's, I think Pokemon USA and I believe Magic, both are not allowing sanctioned events. So you could do like casual play, but you can't do any events that are like tailored to new pre-release products and stuff like that. So we do have 2 tables set up to allow for some casual gaming. We've had 2 groups come in, and it's limited to how many people can sit there, and
Mm-hmm.
we put a time limit on it. Friday Night Magic, we'd go until it was done, so Sam wouldn't be leaving the shop until 11 o'clock midnight sometimes, and we're holding firm to 7 p.m. So just changes we're making right now, and as things ease and change, we'll continue to kind of go with the program.
Something else that came to mind.
Yeah.
I know this is not a huge focus for Kowabunga, or not the primary focus, but with DC going to Lunar and Marvel going to Penguin Random House, how does that affect the collectibles market? I mean, do you do much in that way?
Like figures and statues?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's a great question. For the figures, when it comes to Marvel, a lot of their stuff is Diamond Select, and then they've got their Legends line and stuff. Not sure what's going to happen with those, to be 100% honest. My expectation is that they're probably going to stay, at least for the short term, with Diamond, and they might move to a different distributor if they're going to do something. I don't have any indication that Penguin Random House is going to take on any of that sort of distribution. With DC,
Right.
the DC direct figure line and all of that stuff, all is supposed to flow through Lunar. Now, there's a backlog of about 3 years worth of statues and figures that have been ordered that they just keep punting the date farther out and out and out. And we're all just sitting here going, what's the deal? We've got, I think a Catwoman statue that's 3.5 years out from its original release date. And we're just kind of like, okay. So, yeah, as of right now, I don't see a whole lot of change on the Marvel side, but DC did shift to Lunar.
Okay. I was curious about that.
Yeah.
Oh well. What else you got, Jay? Or do we need to start winding things down for the evening? I guess we've kept Eric up tonight.
Yeah, and he's still got.
on my end.
I'm sure he's still got a couple hours worth of store business to do once he gets off here.
I know. He's still got to come down for a Blues game.
I would love to. I would absolutely love to. Are you guys letting fans in at all yet?
Yep, they started doing that a couple of weeks ago.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't obviously been up to a Wild game yet either. That's huge. I want to see Kirill the Thrill play live, our new hot rookie. But yeah, that's on the list. I've also got an open standing date to go to an LA Kings hockey game. So I've got to get moving on this stuff. I can't just keep going to Costa Rica.
Yeah, but the fishing's better down there.
Oh my God. Yeah. We when I went down in February, we ended up with a 25-pound grouper. And that was, oh my gosh, that was phenomenal. Caught a lot of other stuff too, snap.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, well, maybe we'll just wind it up unless there's anything we didn't touch on.
I can't think of anything.
So, all right. Send us off, Jay.
You've been watching and listening to Best of the Rest with Eric from Kowabunga Comics. Eric, we want to thank you again for joining us. It's always a pleasure.
Thanks for letting me come on and kill some time with you. It's always a treat to be able to talk to you guys.
Well, thanks. And if you want to tweet the show, we're at BOTR Comics. You can reach me at JForgets.
And I'm at Oot Inger.
And I will put the links for Kowabunga in the show notes when I post this for the podcast.
We have show notes?
Yes.
Oh, nice. I'll have to read those sometime.
Yeah, you might.
All right. Good night.
See ya.
Take care.